See if this is working. If I am in fact live right now, this is a whole new streaming setup, so I have never used it before. We'll see how it's going. I'm going to be switching to streaming on YouTube only instead of simulcast, which means I have a whole new process. So let's see if this chat works. So this stream is just a very casual stream going to be on my channel that I'm just prepping. Got some upcoming live videos. If this chat works. Oh, looks like it is working. Cool. I've got some upcoming live videos that are going to showcase my new ProPlan product. And if you're on my Discord server, which, hey, I can see Merlin Phillips and Oleg are in here. Both you guys are in the Discord server. I know that. So you guys know about all the stuff that's been happening and all the features coming out. So that's the only place I'm really announcing features. So the couple people that are in the chat right now are the only people that even know there's a ton of new stuff going on in the ProPlan. If you didn't know it, if you have previously purchased a ProPlan from me, there are update codes in the shop. The website's been overhauled. It's changed quite a bit, and I'm going to continue to work on the website, trying to make it easier for people to find what they need on there. And then I'm just in here today to test things. And I know this template has taken on a life of its own. It does so much more than I ever thought that it would, and it probably does so much more than anyone could really comprehend. It takes, I think, my estimate is maybe 14 hours to review all the features. So I'm never going to be able to review all the features. So it takes people asking, can it do this, for me to be able to respond. Unfortunately, even after building out a robust manual, which that's well on its way, there's still going to be things that are in this template that you might not even know about. So I'm going to be pushing people to use managed mode. Managed mode, if you're seeing my screen right now, that's what we're kind of seeing on the right hand side here. I'm only displaying what's in what's called a folder, but you could relate to it by calling it a tag. So I have a tag that's filtering my projects here. And so here's my template. Here's the ProPlan template. Something that's nice about managed mode is I can bring a lot of assets into this and have them all remain linked. And that ends up being a really nice thing for drawing. And I'll show you what I mean right off the bat. This is going to be probably part one of whatever I go to live about and start talking about the ProPlan, which is how do we start using this? In managed mode, we're not going to do new plan. We're not going to do new project. In managed mode, we're just going to copy this project. I will have a separate video that's right now in my membership area of YouTube. I'm doing a series on cloud-based stuff. And something that will be in that playlist, but won't be members only, it will be available to the public, is me telling you how to use project management, separate from my products. This is just how do we use X17 project management to maintain our files and share across to other users or other devices. So I will be publishing that video pretty soon. And I'll be getting into the weeds on that one. But for now, this is what we're looking at, managed mode. This is our ProPlan. And so I'm going to start a new project just by making a copy of my project. And once I make this copy, I get to name it whatever I want. I name the project whatever I like. Herman project. You could go ahead and tag it if you wanted to. So you could right click. Right now, we're in beta, so they're calling tags folders. They're going to change this because it's too redundant of a name. So eventually that'll be changed. So I could do a new folder and just say active or something like that. Or maybe it's a particular client. Maybe it's a client's name, like Sims or something. So this is my Sims project. And then of course I've got to go and make sure that I applied that tag. So I got to cancel that out. So here's that Herman project. And I'm going to put it as part of the Sims. There we go. So when I click on Sims, there's my project. Now everything's already linked up. So all I want to do, this is my preferred method for this. New and as-built are already sent to layout. You no longer have to do a relinking, but there is still a process for this. So I like to start from the new plan, draw my walls out that are my as-built. If you're in a remodel workflow, new construction obviously is going to be a different process, but if I'm in a remodel workflow and I'm drawing my building out and I've got my existing building and I've finished it, I'm done with it. Now all I'm going to do is, I don't need to save this, I don't need to do anything to this. All I do is come into managed mode, the project manager, click on replace with on the as built, which is not open. I'm going to replace with. I ignore the next dialog and I just continue to press replace. It's going to give me the only available projects I could replace it with, and I'm going to replace it with what I just drew those walls in, new plan, and press select. Now here's what happens. I'm still in the new plan. This means I get to draw in some new funny little addition off the front end here. And when I open up my layout file, you'll see that it's producing my plot plan based on that new plan, right? If I go to the next page, there's my existing. That's what we overwrote with. If I go to the next page, now I'm on that new plan with the addition. Can't be easier than this. It's already setting up your views. Here's a window order overview. You might need to stretch the view layout box a little bit to fit everything in there. You could rescale it if you want. This is just showing us our window order, right? This has been a part of the Pro Plan before, but I give a lot of info in terms of your window and door orders. Let's go next page. Elevations, I don't have these auto refreshing. I just expect that you manually refresh these. There's some new cool features on this, so we just get to update this view. We can update this other view as well. And this takes a while. This is why I don't have it on auto refresh, just because it takes a minute. Maybe you're working quickly and don't want to wait for this. So there we go. These two views, if you just open them from here, they use the same keynote note type so that they both report to this keynote schedule. I'll show you what I mean by this. If I were to just drop a note in here and say, siding for example, and draw an arrow out and point to it. And then I come back to here and I want to open up this view, and let's just drop a note in here, and maybe it's 8-inch clear to grade, who knows, whatever this is. When we come back here on this page, it's accumulating from both of those views. So it's driving those keynotes from both of those views. So these two views share a keynote system. The next page, it's the same story. Two views share a keynote system. You'll notice a bunch of little different markers kind of across the outside bounds of the page. That's specifically to help you set up and have key elements aligned. So if I skip back to page 5, you'll notice I'm always putting my labels in the same exact spot. There's an invisible line running through this template that is snappable. You see, I just pick up the snap right here when I get close. There's that invisible line. There's also an invisible vertical line right here that's snappable. I use that to align all my labels. Look at that. See that? That's the snap that it picks up. So that's what these little lines are about. It's really easy to take an element and say that it was off kilter like that, to just center it up based on this. And you can even shift snap and you'll pick up another invisible line that's the top here. So this is just keeping elements aligned across the page. Just makes it really nice. If I just to show you a place point where that shows up on every page, it's just really nice to have those elements aligned across all pages. Like I said, there's so many features in this, I couldn't possibly cover it all in the amount of time I'm going to do. I think I'm going to do multiple live shows to cover different aspects. So that's the best I could tell you there. So I'm going to build out a kitchen and just explain my new NKBA standards. The designers out there are going to be really excited about this. And let me just make a really ugly kitchen real quick. Oh, and by the way, I have new defaults for our 3D views, and I have new light fixtures for our 3D views and new tools. So the distributed objects tool puts a standard LED 4 in there, and that's just nice to light the scene while you're, in case you want to draft while you're in a ray trace view. I like to draft while I'm in a ray trace view, so it's just really easy to draw that in there and get the scene illuminated real quick. And then drawing in 3D in X17 is it's becoming a dream to me. I've been drawing in 3D a very long time. It's my preferred method. So very easy to select this and choose this dimension here and be able to change it. I'll switch to standard view. It might be easier to see, but I went through and I sampled 150 different font styles to get to this font style. And to me, it's the most legible font style while remaining really small so that it's not disruptive for me, so that I can draw in 3D and get my temp dimensions to show up. And I have a custom arrow style that I'm going to be using, but right now there's a glitch with it. So Chief's fixing that. And in the meantime, I'm using this square arrow style. And you can see here why it's nice, is that if the temp dimension is running through geometry and the geometry is over the top of the dimension, you will see that the fill does not show up, which is very nice at indicating exactly where that arrow is pulling its reference from. So you select a wall, it's very clear we're getting surface to surface here. So that part's really nice. And so then easy to select an edge handle here, punch in 18 inches, and man, is that fast and simple and feels intuitive. So same kind of thing, just being able to punch in 33, etc., and get back to your tool and place the next one. Now in X17, we don't need to place a cabinet to place a dishwasher. We get to just place the dishwasher. So we just get to click this in and it's automatically going to build that countertop. And if you have the cycle through previous tools, then you'll notice if I hit a little hotkey that cabinet just became my active tool again. So really kind of productivity tip there. And so then I just get to keep drawing out this kitchen. I will say there is a glitch in a ray traced view. When you have something selected, you switch to ray trace and it finishes its ray trace. Sometimes you'll see leftover parts of the dimension being shown up like that. Just know that you can rebuild the scene if you want to, and it'll make that disappear. Just a trick until they fix that. If you build cabinets before you place windows, just know that that'll place the window up above the cabinet. The only thing I don't like about that is that makes this a substandard size for me. So oftentimes I will place a window and then center it up where I want my sink in this case. And then I'll get it to a standard size, such as punch in 9 inches. But here's what's so nice about the new method is we just get to click in here and specify specifically. If you click inside of the window dimension, you can change the size of the dimension. If you click outside of that, it's going to move the window. That's very different. So just keep that in mind. And let's just put a little cabinet in there, and maybe I'll do a little short one here. I'm a big fan of the copy paste, reflect about workflow. And maybe we'll just throw a short little shelf system on the end. If you have my shelf stuff, and hopefully you're familiar with how I navigate in my library, very simple to come in here and click on countertop shelf component, and in this case I want a narrow one, and this gets me to my systems of shelf replacement very, very quickly. And then in this case I didn't want a component, I actually wanted to put an actual shelf. So this time, instead of component, I'm going to put system. So this is going to be a painter. So there we go. There's my narrow painter. I get to paint that object. Very cool. Simple enough. And this is where we get to just punch in these numbers. I'm getting used to punching in the numbers. I'm so used to doing like a tab input. So I'm still getting used to this workflow. It's very different, but I am loving it. You know, I'll still do this. I'll still do tab input to set this up 14 inches above the previous one. And I like to move things polarly. So the best way of doing that is holding your shift key while you're left clicking, and that'll just move it up and down very easily. And then I can cut out the painter and add CAD component back, and then pick out something that might be relevant to, you know, a kitchen, cooking supplies or something like that. So there we go. And let's throw a little backsplash in here. Why not? We'll do an auto backsplash. And I might just turn these cabinets into glass cabinets. This one. Chief is working with me diligently about fixing this issue. Always say no, but we have about 15 messages back and forth. They are determined to fix this issue. So I'm really hoping in the final version that that's what we get. And let's just flip this about itself. Trick for flipping about itself is typically target the bottom or top rail, and you can get this animation to show up easily. There we go. See, otherwise it's going to flip about its width, right? Or its depth in that case. And so flipping it about itself just means we're flipping the door-handed side. That part's nice. Okay, let's keep building this out. Why not? Oftentimes I'll do this where this is a 12-inch cabinet. This is a 24-inch cabinet. I'll put in just our range. In this case, it's going to be a 30-inch range. I'll copy paste this about itself, and then I'll add that 12 so that I have kind of a balanced setup here. And I'm just going to use this hood. This hood's a little bit oversized for this, for an 8-foot ceiling height. Should change it out, but whatever, we're going to use it now. And my blind corner wall cabinet will actually work. Blind corner tool will actually work on wall cabinets, I should say. So that's this guy. Though I haven't used it, so that's what this stream is about. I want to test things and make sure I got everything working. Yeah, there we go. So that creates blind corner. Now it's wider than what we need here. So this needed to be a 15-inch cabinet, and I clicked the wrong edge. Oh, in fact, this is a 30-inch cabinet. Almost can't have this here. So you can always drag this out and then click on this and hit a 0, and that should get us in place. Pretty sweet. So what size cabinet did this need to be? 12. Ah. Who wanted it on the same on both sides? Good to know. So I can't click in between here and have this resize, unfortunately. So you still need to know about your tab inputs and bumps and stuff like that. Good stuff to know. I might just move this over and do a little, I like that. Garbage pullout tool, change the way that it works and changes the way that it figures out that something's garbage. It's more accurate now, so that's kind of a new feature. And it will also recognize when you have a garbage pullout that has an upper drawer as well. So that's a little bit more of a robust thing now. Let's say that this maybe has a peninsula, huh? Let's change this guy. I love this reflect about workflow where you get to do this. And then this is probably full height single door. And more often than not, I'm going to take this, I usually take this whole thing. And again, you could shift left click to move this polarly, right? And then we can just, this is what's great. I used to have to tab input everything. Now I can just pull it off the wall and then punch in the number in between the wall. So 3" to just add a 3" filler. Use our filler tool. This is still complicated, right? Still not super easy to put this filler in place. So you can obviously do that and just center. Would be, oops, I used reflect about, not center. See if I can get it right this time. There we go. And then I'll oftentimes put this as a filler here as well as fixing this so that the toe kick has no flat back. Right, so then we've got hopefully a recess in here. Although it seems to be still flat back, huh? Dang it. And then uncheck filler on this so that it does the same thing. So no flat back. Well, almost got it right. Yeah, it says no flat back, but it still builds one. Interesting. I think that's an old glitch too. Now, I usually paint these as a my back overhang tool, but lately I've just been switching back to plan view and taking the base cabinet tool, shift selecting everything, and then converting the custom countertop. Just seems to be a lot easier. That way I can just drag this out and say it's an 18" overhang and we're putting stringers on it, who knows. So that's something. And then let's just say I want them all 3-drawer bases. We switch to the 3-drawer base tool and we switch to component mode, and I'm in contain selection mode, and I should be able to just draw a marquee over these 3, 4, and maybe I'll draw 4-drawer base at the end. And then I have an in panel tool. Just kind of do a point to point to get to that last filler before we get to that last base cabinet there, and stretch this out. And then we get to open this up and just, you know, set this up any way you want. Split it vertically, do a couple panel, do a 3 panel, equalize it, kind of thing. You know, it's looking pretty good. Put an in panel on this side too to close this side out. I want to show that I have a brand new, and it's built into the rope lights. Brand new rope light. And the rope light is something I'm pretty happy with, truly. Let's see. Oops. Get these shelves kind of set up here. Want more wall cabinet. That's not letting me select. Don't know why. So my new rope light is a directional diffuser light. So you just use the typical rope light tool, but you have to draw this counterclockwise until figure out how to get it to draw the other way. So you got to draw this in a counterclockwise direction. But I think this does some really nice lighting for you. And then the trick with X17, if you figure out where your lights are going to go, let's just say for argument's sake, we're going to put a light here. If you use the electrical connection tool, instead of just pulling off the light, then you can do continuous draw mode. So I can continuously snap to this guy. It's going to highlight selections as you connect to them. At least it should anyways, but there you go. This is the continuous draw. And so now if I get into my ray trace view again, look at that. That's what it looks like. Ends up doing some really nice lighting. So even though this shows that it's on, it's not displaying right now, but let's go ahead and turn this on in ray trace view so we can see. You can see all that's being lit. Now if you select that switch on the wall, because those are connected, we get to just use our adjust brightness tool and set this down to like, I don't know, about 30%. And that dims those down. Let's just turn this guy off. Good. Here we go. So nice subtle lighting effect there. A little backsplash in there. All the 2-drawer, 3-drawer, 4-drawer sprayers, they all work on these full height cabinets as well. So that'll make a 2-drawer match. And 2-drawer on this, we'll stack this down on the countertop, just like that. A little closed toe on those two. Now, if we close this room off, call it a kitchen, let's just do the room divider. Here's where I really got some cool things about, matching label conventions. And one is that I'm still giving you a method for changing the convention globally, meaning that if maybe GVG is not the right acronym for your cabinet brand. We get to go into Save Plan View, or you can just come up here to the top heading here and get into Project Designations. This is just a Save Plan View. This is my detail system, which is getting easier and more advanced at the same time. And then over here are your user label conventions. And so if you needed to, for instance, if it was the fact that your garbage pullout was not GBG, instead it needed to just be, maybe it just needed to be GB instead, okay? You just change that here inside of the quotes and press OK. And then when we got back to our working plan view and got back into that kitchen, we're going to see that that changed that convention. Awesome. Now, another thing about this is if you have one particular cabinet that the match system that's built into the Pro Plan isn't working on, and you need to match an acronym, you can come in here and use in the Object Information panel, use the label replacement section here, and we could say something like HJ, for instance. And what this will do is add that to whatever the label system is doing, right? And then the next part about this is that if instead you wanted to just specify that this cabinet has some additional info, maybe instead you put plus. So this works across window labels, the room height label, door labels. Adding a plus will append a suffix to whatever the label is. So I could say plus utensils if I wanted to, if I felt like including that in the label. And so that appends it to the end. Super cool. Now, another aspect of this is I have a tool called the annotation tool. Annotation tool does a bunch of different stuff depending on what it's connected to. In a kitchen, it's got some precursor information about it being a kitchen. We connect it to a wall, it's going to figure out that it's something about a wall. Okay, if we've got this in the floor below, it's going to figure out that maybe this is an area of work, or if it's in a crawl space, it's going to tell us crawl space clearance. Or if we point it to a wall, it's going to tell us something about it being a stem wall. If we have, say, I mean, this is nothing new. This is in my X17 templates, but it's still stuff I'll be reviewing in my live show, which is if we've got just a click stairs and we make this point to that click stairs, it's going to report all that stair information. Same thing with the note tool. One thing that is not necessarily known about the Anno tool is you can build out a library of things like this cabinet where whatever you place in the Anno tool custom field is what will be reported by the Anno tool. So you could say utensils and pots, pans, and so when you, oh, I don't quite do that right. I think I didn't quite overwrite everything. Yeah, there we go. Now, the next time you use that Anno tool and you plug it into that cabinet, it's going to pick up that information. So this is a way that we can build similar annotations that we use over and over again without having to type anything out. You just type it out once, save it to your library, and you use that when you're building out a utensil system. So, or you can build it into some of these default sprayers if you're always using some specific sprayer for that. So this is just all becoming more and more robust of a system that helps you automate so that you don't have to keep doing manual input. And now I'm going to show you that my default kitchen elevation cameras are set up for NKBA. They're about as accurate as you can get them, and minus that you have to manually pick your window casings. So we still have to manually pick window casings, but everything else is set up just as you would need it for NKBA. I'm going to get rid of this addition. We'll do that addition a little later. So my biggest trick for you, if you want it to have to do no cleanup at all for your NKBA dimension standards, then you pull these cameras inside of a wall cabinet. Now I want to say something before we even get too far into this. I will always place my front door at plan south. So 9 times out of 10, the kitchen ends up being plan north. And so I typically have left, center, right elevations. It just happens to be that that's what ends up happening more times than not. So because of that, the elevation default dimension tool for this camera only puts dimensions on the left, top, and bottom. The elevation default for this camera only puts dimensions on top and bottom, no left and right. And then this one does top and bottom and only right. That makes it so that on an ANSI D size sheet, you can put left, middle, right, and have it all line up and not have to clean up dimension strings. Makes it really, really fast. You can, of course, change this on the fly within the camera. So here's my major trick. Move your elevation camera inside of the wall cabinets. All the way inside. Open this up. This is just a little glitch that's probably going to always be there. It's not going to be centered on your view. Don't worry about it. All you do is do your auto elevation dimensions. It will center the view for you. There we go. And this is what it's doing. Like I said, the only thing you have to manually pick is your top casings, if you even want that. I don't typically show the verticals. I only show top. So there we go. That's it. Dimensions are done. Can't get any easier than that. Obviously, I've got a space in here that I needed to fix, but other than that, these are perfect NKBA dimensions. We've got second lines, center on fixtures. First lines are all our cabinet ends and sides, and then we've got an overall. So if I close this down, well, actually, I don't need to close this down. Let's come back to this view. Now that that dimension's done, pull this back out. anywhere you want, because this doesn't even show up on my print sets. So you can pull it back out any way you want. Let's go back to this and take a look. Look at that. Looks fantastic. It's done. The only other thing I might do is I might add this CAD block tool in here to kind of block off the side of this. Up to you if you want to do that. You know, that makes it a little bit cleaner. I like it. Let me just close that view down. We're going to come full circle on this. Next one, I'll just pull this same thing. I'll pull this right inside of there. I don't even need to look at this typically. I could just hit auto elevation and just be done with it. So there we go, auto. Yeah, I'm going to pick up the casings in this case. I might move the label for the subway. This will pick up whatever your subway material name is. So if it's to be determined, change your material name to TBD, and that'll still show up. That's a nice little feature. And then let me close this down. I don't even care about saving this, what have you, because I'm going to move that camera back again. And then this last one here. I want to show you how you can change the dimension default. It's just the drop down menu, makes it really easy. Is you can see here that this is NKBA right. This is telling us it's going to dimension top, bottom, and right. This is top, bottom. This is just left. So right now I'm just going to leave that the way it is. Get my auto. So I missed it. Let's see. What happened there? That again. I know it's not picking up auto for some reason. I think that has to do with, not sure what that has to do with. Let's double check it. Something about the room definition. Might have found a glitch. We'll see. Well, this is why I need a practice video. Yeah, it's not doing it. Curious, very curious. Let's see if we go right inside those cabinets that it changes. It's not picking them up. Okay, well, let's just do a little trick. I bet we could trick this system. Here's what we'll do. I'm gonna place an interior wall right up against this. We'll just fake it. Now we'll see what it does. This has something to do with it being clip to room. So you probably could have unchecked clip to room to figure that out as well. But yeah, that worked. Let's try it. We'll try the clip to room method too, in case you run into that issue. This isn't specific to my template, so this issue is. So we'll delete all dimensions. I'm going to edit the active view. I'm going to uncheck clip to room. I'm not going to edit any of the clipping. So it still looks like it's clip to room, right? And then do our auto. Yeah. So there you go. It worked. So it has something to do with that clip to room setting. And then we can re-clip to room. Should see that disappear. So there you go. A couple ways to get around that. And I'll move that back. Now here's the sweet spot about this whole thing is these views are already sent to layout. Those 3 views are already sent to layout. And so the only thing we need to do with the, oops, I'm placing some CAD stuff there. Only thing I have to do with this is just make them all kind of show up on the screen, right? So we don't know where the room's going to be. So when you pre-send these to layout, they're going to be maybe off-centered, who knows? So we don't know that aspect of it. But Now that we know where these are, Shift left click, that'll keep this in alignment. And so what that does is we have all the floors are already lined up from left to right. So I just get to kind of control slide my layout box over, make sure I got the whole room in here. Sometimes I don't have room to show the whole room, so I do have tricks for that. But yeah, if I shift and slide this over, there we go. I've got that whole left dimension string on the page. I want to get away from my page binding. So end up sliding this over as well. You can usually fit a 15-foot room in here, no problem. So here's that last one. We're going to end up updating that view. So in the edit toolbar, just update the view. You probably end up updating this view as well. We'll probably put a CAD block fill over here. But yeah, once we get these all lined up and updated, pretty much it. We've got our left, right, center set up here. Now, keep in mind, this one's off the page. I got a trick about that. If we really do want to fit 3 views in side by side and the room's a little bit large, like this one here, then what we can do is we can just swing this back down to the kind of end of the cabinet, copy, paste, paste, hold, stretch this out till you get to the dimensions on the far hand side, and kind of just clip to the last little section, slide this back, and we're leaving a gap in between these dimensions. So this is like a match continuation. And so you want to open this view up and make sure that these dimensions, like this 150 3/4, are slid over so that it's still in the view of that little clipped section that you had. So same kind of thing as I could just slide this over to the end here, and that will end up looking correct when I go update my elevations in layout. Whatever that is. There we go. And so that's what that ends up looking like. And so that still conveys everything that I want in terms of display and everything else. So I can tighten this up now if I wanted to. The last thing that I would do is just that I would hide my label for this view. There we go. So I'm hiding the label now, sliding this over, and there we have it. And that looks pretty good. Bam, everything's uniform. This is a special CAD detail, and it's, if you open it up, it's just to set you up in case you have your spec for your appliances or your fixtures. You want to set this up. This is indicating basically a legend, and then here's how that legend applies. There's your A, there's your E, DB, etc. So what's happening is all these appliances will report to a schedule if you set it up correctly. Now, maybe it's that you've got a different appliance than me and you want to slide this down. As you slide this down, this is a live updating number, so easy for you to set up your standards for your appliances. And then the last thing you got to do is you just come in here and pick one of these appliances so that you can find the schedule for that appliance. So I'm going to find schedule from object in my edit toolbar. Let's open up this schedule and then uncheck everything but kitchen. And so it will limit our fixtures to the kitchen. And then those are those corresponding numbers. Now D and E, if you want to know what these are these are custom. So if we go into the schedule and click on D and we say reset, it's going to see, oh, this is coming from macro input 1, which is from the object information fields. So we'll rename that back to D. So if you know your spec, you can go open a row object like this oven, for instance, open that row object. And in the case of the detail, D is what we're looking for. So macro input 1, I could say 30 inches minimum. And there you go. So it's reporting to that schedule. Just makes it really easy to set up your standards. So if you're, in case you're using the same standards over and over again. And then if you want to scale those images up, feel free to. You can, I believe we get to just resize that row or you come in here and you say use plan view scale. Let's see. No, that's not it. Just don't scale the images. How about that? There we go. That makes for a bigger preview. And then just expand these rows to what you'd like. And you can even come in here and reset the column widths and then start from fresh if you want to. And use your tab input as you slide these. You want to get real specific with it. So come back to layout. There we go. Just adjust it on the screen. And that's a pretty good install, right? And we go to that next page, and you're probably going to send another view to this next page, but here's our automatic cabinet schedule. I have no control over the widths. They don't have automatic widths, so you might have to expand the layout box to show everything, but there we go. And this is filler schedule on the right hand side. And then back in here, there's several different NKBA standards if you're in the working kitchen and bath view. And so right now it's NKBA plan view. Plan view will do wall to wall. So dimension tool, slide it through. Got some hang up there. And that'll do wall to wall interior surface. So very simple to just get those dimensions. It will also do casings if you drop it right on top of the casing. And then kind of the new trick here is this in X17, we can reference our standard offsets. So here's one of those standard offsets, and then this other dimension string, there's that second standard offset, something like that. So there's one thing. If you're someone that's just doing kitchen and bath only, and you're just doing a kitchen in a major house, right? And let's just say, for instance, that we've got more to this exterior wall and it's carrying through. Same thing. Let's just say we've got some additional space here, and this kitchen is in the middle of, you know, a bigger building, but all we want to do is dimension to that kitchen only. Then what you can do is you can select these exterior walls, and we can say that there are no locate walls. No locate. And then from there, we just delete all our dimensions here. If you choose auto interior dimensions, I'd say switch to this. Auto plan ANSI. This is truly set up for kitchen only designers. And so when you hit auto interior dimensions, then it's going to place those cabinet dimensions on the outside of the wall there, just like that. I might do a little messing around with the extension length for those of you that want to use this method. So, and that's a way that we can just get auto within a room, within a kitchen, within a plan. Let me switch back to a couple of the other NKBA defaults that I have here, and we'll go back a few. Hey, thank you, Seth. I see you in the chat. I got so much more to tell you about. Okay, so now we're back to this. I'm going to switch to NKBA countertops, and that truly is, with the manual dimension tool, just a countertop to countertop spacing, and it will also pick up walls. So this is particularly nice if we're just trying to show distance between island to island, right? So it's just countertop to countertop there. So that makes a big difference for our standard detailing. And then there's just a whole bunch more tools inside of the kitchen tools. And the library is becoming more and more robust. Did not add a ton of new tools to the toolbar for kitchens, but there are quite a few new tools within the library itself. What I did add is a framed overlay door painter or frameless inset. Okay, so frameless inset, if we just switch to marquee mode and select everything and come back to a view, we've just changed everything in here to an inset cabinet. So that just makes it really nice to change that very quickly. Of course, you can just switch it back to the overlay. We're going to just go into a room mode, and I'll spray the floor here, and it will change it to a full overlay door. Simple, super fast, easy. All of these tools have been cleaned up a bit. Their function has been cleaned up. The icons were all redrawn to be a little bit crisper and easier to see. And then everything now works on all cabinet types. So base cabinet, full cabinet, wall cabinet should all work on that. Just pointing out probably my favorite tool and how to use it, because I still get questions about it, which is if you want to change some cabinet colors versus others, but it's a big block of cabinets you want to change, the easiest way to do it is using this tool in plan view in a marquee painter mode. Marquee being this guy. So that if I just wanted to change my full height cabinets color and I just wanted to change my wall cabinets color, I could come in here just like that, highlight those wall cabinets, highlight that full height cabinet, we come back in here and it changes the color. This makes it very easy to change the color now from whatever color you want from the library. So now I can just come in here and paint these all oak, and it just makes it super simple to do that. So versus having to click and spot and click individual pieces, which would take a lot more time to do. And then my elevations in layout do send in color, and I'm starting to build my library of materials out so that they have a elevation color versus a ray trace view color, so that if you have a dark cabinet, for instance, my colors in my full library are starting to have a vector color separate from their color that displays in a ray trace view, so that we have more legible print sets. And I mean, that's kind of a slow thing I'm doing, but here you go. This is not the actual color of that oak cabinet. It's a lot lighter than that so that it reads correctly on the screen. That's a lot of work, so it's going to take me some time to do all that, but I'm getting there. And then a couple extra just tips and tricks on X17 is just say we've got this light, and we in fact have a second light switch here. We get to select these two lights, and in the edit toolbar we get to gang them together. And so that makes that a ganged light fixture. And then let me just show you real quick. In the Pro Plan now, the default LED is actually a recessed LED that I've built. It's a custom one. Okay, so I will now eliminate the LEDs that are these guys right here that are built from distribution paths. The reason being is that this LED is actually recessed into the ceiling, and it also, I have kind of like built-in geometric baffles inside to this recessed LED to try to recreate a true IES profile. And this is a very challenging thing to do, and I think I've done a pretty decent job of it as a first try. And so this is just your default light tool in the Pro Plan. And so you should get a little bit more realism, I think, in terms of how LEDs light a room. I mean, just notice this. The old LEDs would not do this. They're going to light up the room all the way up to the ceiling line. So this is, my LEDs will do this. A little bit more of a realistic look, I think. So it has some hot spotting and then haloing. And so, if you really want to go look at the geometry of it, go check it out in a glasshouse view and you can see exactly how they're built. But yeah, they actually have like a little internal baffle in here to block light from the upper LED, and a cone to spread light below that baffle. So a little tricky to build, but they're actually recessed in here. In future, I do have an LED that includes the housing, and we can in fact change it so that the housing affects your framing. So if you're interested in getting into that level of detail, you can do that. It's not a bad looking kitchen. So, more on kind of the construction document side of things. I'm going to be bouncing around because there's so much to cover. I have trouble remembering everything that's in this. I still have all the window tools, which means that we have user configurable thresholds for stacking these labels. We still have the tools to be able to say that there's no work on this particular window or it's out of scope. We still have a tool to be able to just stack any individual label we want. We still have the ability to stack any individual room label we want with the same exact tool. We also have that same ability to take something out of scope. Let's just say, for instance, this is living room. So that same tool that we took the window out of scope with, this takes that living room out of scope with. And so all those things still exist. Now what's nice is the label replacement tool, especially if, let's just say we're going to make this a gable end wall, and we're going to say that this room has no ceiling. So it's going to automatically change this to a vaulted ceiling. Okay, we can see that in a view here as well. All right, so we just switched this to a vaulted ceiling. And now from there, get back into plan view. There is no way for Chief to automatically report what the top of the vault is in terms of elevation. So what I gave you instead is that you can open up the kitchen, and the label replacement tool still works similarly to all the other window door cabinets where we can replace the label. What's cool about this is you could punch in any inch number and it will format this correctly. So I could say 120 inches to vault, and I can say 96 inches plate height, and this is in label replacement, and I press enter, it's going to show that formatted correctly in your label. And then if you still know how to set up project designations, you get to specify what layer sets you don't want to see this information on. So if we switch to an electrical plan view, then we're going to notice it doesn't show it on electrical plan view because that's in our settings. So, and that's in project designations. So I'll switch back to just a working plan just to show that. So this is really nice to kind of, throw in some information that you might have. And then on top of that, if you added a plus in front of this, as opposed to just overwriting it. So if we added a plus, and I could just say ridge beam, it's going to retain whatever it had labeled before, which was vaulted ceiling, and then append your label replacement to the end. So, and then of course we can revert our formatting so it's not stacked, or that it's not, applying to no work. And then out of scope, if you didn't know this, in the window order overview, this means that it's going to show not applicable in this case. In a framing view, this is going to show no rough opening size. Okay, I think I want to show something new and fun that to me saves me all kinds of money. This is a big one to me, which is that this is now building out automatic roof vent calcs. And it's as simple as I can make it. It's still not simple, but it is, set it and forget it. So let me just switch to a roof framing overview real quick. A really easy way to find where this is located is just coming through the layout pages until you get to this roof schedule page. I need to expand this. We've got a few roof plans, but here's our roof vent schedule. And so this is being automatically built as I go. And this is set up for my standard. And so I don't need to touch it. It's already, this is accurate and it's being built and it's done. This used to take me, hour or two every time I needed to do this. And to me, it's not a process that's easy to process and to do for some reason. My brain just doesn't do this very well. So having this be automatic, something I've been meaning to do for a very long time. How this works is, and this takes instructions and it's in my manual. If you didn't know this, you scroll up to the top of the screen and you get in here and there's our product manual. Just get to click on that. It brings you to a website. Eventually when the manual is complete, it'll be built as a downloadable PDF with links, but there's information on how to use this particular roof vent calc in here already. So roof vent calc comes from the auto build roof menu or an individual roof plane, as it were. And so you just get to come into the build roof, and this is being driven by the only way I know how to index numbers, which is without affecting other things, which is in the fill style of the roof. And so I have a custom pattern in here that unlocks this section, which is X scale, Y scale. This is the net free area in square inches of your eave vent in the case that you're using eave vents. And this is assumed to be every other rafter bay or truss bay, as it were. Your Y scale is net free area per foot in square inches for your ridge vent if you're using a ridge vent, okay? And then this angle is square inch per foot of soffit vents if you're using soffits, okay? If I change this roof structure and uncheck soffits, and let me just show you this side by side. I did a little preview video of this on Discord the other day, but let me just show you exactly how this is being built. So here's our roof vent calcs, and I'll get into the, actually we could just put it full screen and put it kind of towards the bottom of the screen. Let's just get into that. Oh, I can't build roof from this CAD detail. That's why I need it side by side. Funny. Here we go. So we'll get into this build roof dialog, and I'm going to uncheck soffits. What you'll see over here is suddenly this will change its numbers. There you go. It just redid its calc. Now it's saying that the event method is eve blocks as opposed to continuous. So that just changed. Next part about this is maybe you're not providing a high-low vent. That gives us the 1 in 300 method, okay? So if you're not providing a high-low vent, if you're just doing low vents, then we're going to get into our project designations, and there's just one section here that you got to change. You change supplying ridge vent to false. That's it. And then next time this schedule gets open and closed, it changed its method, 1/150th. So its calc changed. The only thing I could not provide in the system is the percentage that you're applying. You have to manually do that still, but it's showing what's required and it's showing what we're providing. This is as close as I can get, but I mean, I'm assuming you're using the same vent setup on every project. So you should just be able to set this up in your defaults and just fly. In the case that you're not providing a ridge vent, but you are providing a high vent, maybe just an individual installed vent, that means that you're just going to keep this designation as true, and it will still calc correctly. If you look in my manual, I even show you how to do mixed reporting in the case that you've got another floor where you're maybe not providing venting versus a lower floor where you are. It can do mixed reporting as well. So pretty robust system. It's about as good as I can make it right now, and if I come up with some new ideas, of course I'll update it. But I'm really excited about this. This is just, I get to just have this sent to view and it's done, and I don't have to do this stupid calc anymore. That's me in California, and I know there's other jurisdictions that do it as well. So pretty cool. What else do we have? Oh, and I have a new brace wall system. For those of you that have to provide brace wall, I'll come in to do just a framing floor plan, and we'll leave it on our floors 1. Get into the library, and you're just going to search BWP tool. There's a glitch in this, by the way. It won't find the actual object until you click on user catalog. I know they're fixing that. So this is just a cabinet. So it's showing its actual length. I'm just going to set this up right in the corner here. So it's showing its actual length, and then it's also reporting to a schedule. Now, let's say I'm using continuous sheathing. So I'm going to shrink this side down. Let's just say, for instance, that this is 21 inch on a return, okay? You can find this object in schedule, and it's going to bring you to this brace wall panel schedule. This is automatically being built out from an index that is referencing the IRC. So if you really know your brace wall systems, you should be able to just change your designation here and it will update. Let's just tile this view as well. So this is another kind of advanced system, if you will. So let's say instead of our CSWSP that we switch to something else like this guy right here. I'm going to move this up the stack, and this one, and it says it right here, but we typically do need to click and open this up and close it for it to fire off. But it did seem like it was just opening as it were. So that just changed the brace wall panel method. It changed the requirements here. And why this is split into O1 and O2 is because it recognized that one that was a return that's less than 24 inches in that case, or less than 48 inches, which is the minimal panel length for this index brace wall type. Then it picks up that you have additional requirements and it adds a second line item. Just to show you what I mean, if we come back into our plan view, let's just say instead this is 48 inches or greater than 48 inches, you'll see that that just disappeared, right? So this is now an applicable brace wall panel for the minimum panel length. On top of that, it is also indexing your alternating options versus your field and edge nailing requirements. It's another thing that used to take me hours to build. So again, doesn't get any better than this. I'm giving you about as good of a system as I can come up with. There's details over here, as well as a full write-up in the manual about how to use this system. One other thing that's kind of cool about this system, if you really want to get into the weeds about what you're showing in your plan documents, if we just get into this elevation right here, this is brand new, by the way. I'm not sure if I have this set up, but we'll check. Is that if we switch from the layer set section view to section BWP view, it's going to remove that outside section there, but it didn't do what I was hoping it would do. So I need a little bit more here. Let's just get into Aldo. I think I need cabinets, doors, and drawers were not turned on. So that because this is a cabinet, that's a cabinet door. There you go. So if you really want to get specific about your brace wall panels, you can come in here and resize this to your plate heights and get this to show correctly. I think that's kind of cool. So that's a good one. So what this did was my wall type has its exterior most layer and its vapor barrier on separate layers. And so in this view, those layers are turned off. And then we're turning on the brace wall panel and the cabinet door to show this. And I guess we'd probably turn off casings on exterior. And we might even turn off, your roof planes as well. Just so that unless you want to do like a clipped section cut or something like that. So might turn off roof planes in this view. Oops, I was in the wrong view. And trim and all that stuff too. Who knows? Up to you. I haven't quite built this out to the point where I'm super happy with it. So that's kind of another advanced one for those condoc people out there doing full as-built workup, stuff like that. I want to show you area analysis is still building to me the way that it should be. I will show you real quick. I'm just going to draw out like a garage here. And let's just say that this is a new garage, for instance. The way area analysis works up against a space like a garage is that it's going to take up analysis up to the outside of your main layer. And so you have to check with your jurisdiction if that's acceptable or not. Even if it weren't acceptable, unless you're dealing with brick and your jurisdiction needs to the outside of brick, this would be a allowable construction reported area analysis. And so it's going to do area analysis to the outside of the main layer into the garage as well. So it's going to take precedence on the interior side. Something I give you in terms of tools is if you draw out any room and you label it an addition, that's going to be considered new coverage. You can change the room name, that's fine, but you use the room type called addition. And then this is going to pick up that this is new coverage so that when we go look at our schedule project information. This is automatically building out this section. So lot size is coming from a plot line. The plot line, in case you didn't know, is going to be in your plot plan view. So that's this guy. You can conform this to what your plot actually is. I add that there's impervious areas. I give you a way to have certain rooms automatically report to impervious area if you want to, or you can use the polyline. Either or, doesn't matter. And so that just updated that lot size, percentage of coverage, floor area ratio, new coverage, existing coverage. Then on top of that, I give you some tools to kind of clean this up if you want to. So we get back to my plan view, say for some reason that this is not, my kitchen is not a conditioned area, we can just use these tools right here and say, hey, this is an unconditioned room, or we're not going to consider this part of our analysis. So I can remove this garage, for instance, as part of our analysis. So that removes that, and our numbers will reflect that immediately. And then while we're here, this page right here is, there's instructions on this, but you can point in the project browser. I give you something to export here. Client info, design info. You export this to wherever you want to keep this. Maybe you have like client information or like designer information over and over again, so you might keep this in a static place, or maybe you are exporting this for every project and keeping this in a particular place. All I need to know is loosely where the path is for these files. Once you target those files and input them per the instructions here, when we open up this polyline and close it down after we've input, it now reads that it's found those CSV files. So they're just CSV files. You could use any kind of graph editor, Google Sheets, Microsoft Excel, etc. So long as you have a static place that you're keeping them and you've pointed the pro plane to them, it will pick this up and it will start reporting all that information. This is particularly nice if you have an office assistant that you have plugging in the information for you, so you don't have to think about it. And so it's automatically sending this project information through, and then the layout in the title block, it's also sending that information through to the title block. So I just think that makes things really, really nice and easy. And speaking of, I always have a graphical scale in my layout. It used to be that it was coming from an individual CAD detail. It no longer is. Now it's coming from the template that's being used for this page. So for instance, I'm sending these views at a 1/2 inch scale. Let's say instead I sent them at a 1/4 inch scale. All I get to do is edit the page information, change this page's template to the 1/4 inch scale template, and you'll see this plan scale changed here, and you'll see the graphics on this change as well. So there we go. Graphics just changed here. This just changed here. Super simple to change what the scale is showing on this particular page. And of course, you could just say no scale, and it's going to remove that bar, and it's going to change this to plan scale per view. So I try to make these things as easy as humanly possible, but they are all still a process you get to learn. And I try to think through these systems as well as I can so that I don't keep changing them, so that they feel intuitive and so that they're scalable as we add new features. So I think that one will stay in place for a very long time for how you change your plan scale, because it just seems to be very intuitive to me. So what? We've been live for an hour and a quarter, and we've almost got a full condoc built. Let's show you the next part. So for this house, I gotta go look at what I did with this house. What do we have? We have a gable end wall here. We've got, typical hip walls here. Let's just change back to the working plan view. This is my addition, so this is going to be new. Maybe we say that this is a mono slab. Who knows? I'm going to use this call out here and just drag this into place. And then I want to get back to layout, and I want to figure out, what am I building here? How is this building going to be set up? So in this case, I don't have a big frost wall. So I'm just going to delete this lower stacked detail. And then I'm going to change this one. I'm going to relink this to some other foundation. By the way, X17 gives us folders and subfolders and more subfolders, so I really have organized my entire stack here, including every single subfolder, legends and keynotes, how they're organized, camera views, how they're organized. Everything is really well organized now. It should feel super intuitive. So I'm in monoslab and footings underneath the stackable details, which is exactly where I want to be. So it should be very easy for me to find a detail that would apply to this particular type of footing, which is I want a monoslab in this case. I don't want that curb, so I'm going to choose this other one that maybe doesn't have a curb. Or, boy, if I don't have one, I should get one. Seems like I do have a curb there, and drywall's going down to the back. Yeah, this is for a sunken floor setup here, but anyways, we'll just replace that there. This is my typical wall detail. I don't have a second floor, so I'll probably just trade this one for the top one, or even slide it down if I wanted to. Top two, I should say. Slide that down. That's my section. It's done. Pretty much it. So all I have to do here in plan view is take this call out and relink it. And I'm going to find that same detail that had a label on it. Just show you what I mean. This guy right here is the one that's carrying this label. Okay. So you might need to just click on it, double click it if you want to see what it is and what it's opening. But this is typical wall in the stackable details. So I'll take this section, call out, and I'll link it. So we're in the Herman project. We're inside. This should show us what's open, but it doesn't look like it is right now. Yeah, it doesn't seem to be. So we're in our new plan here. And then so details, stackable details, and we're in foundations, or excuse me, we're in walls, and we need that typical wall. So I'm going to link it to the appropriate detail. Look at that, it populated. So when we get to a print view, such as floor plan view, here we go. We've got our CS4 on sheet A11 that is appropriate linked to this. Simple as that. So the next part about this is just setting up your designations so all these line up with what you're actually building. So let's just say, for argument's sake, that I'm not using R15, I'm using R19, or maybe I got a 2x6 SPF instead. So we can get back to our plan view, get to that project designations sheet. I do now give you a way to change the species. You want to put this species SPF in the number 1 spot and a second one in the number 2 spot. That means first floor, second floor. Let's open this up and close it, and that changed all designations across all sheet. And we could say wall framing in this case, maybe it's 2x6. Maybe the insulation, or maybe the wall sheathing. You know, we're switching. This is automatically picking up the brace wall panel method. You don't have to rewrite this because it's automatically doing it. So if in fact we did use our CSWSP, that's going to pick this up just like that, right? So maybe I'll switch this out. Let's just pick up, maybe my floor insulation is going to be, well, in this case, it's not going to be floor insulation. I just need to add an option for that. And then let's just switch my ceiling insulation to R38. And we can go back to layout, and we can see that, there we go, 2x6 SPF. There's our ceiling insulation for 30. Looks like that one didn't update, actually. Oh, it did. Need to open. There we go. And then, of course, we've got just our static detail pages as well. And these should have all updated as well. There we go, 3/8 inch CSWSP. Cool. Are we almost done? I mean, yeah. Built out a legend in the electrical plan. Finished drawing out all your electrical the way you need to. What's really nice about this whole system is at the same time, it is being sent to another layout that's an ANSI B that's 11x17. So you can set that up however you like. In terms of spec writing is all coming from its own unique plan template. So for this page, all we do is change the reference file. Right now it's using the national US spec. We get to replace that reference, and we can change this to, you know, Canada spec, California spec. When I press OK, you'll see all this spec changes. Bam. Super simple. Design loads come from that as well. So you can build out your own spec with your own design loads and be able to just switch that out just like that. Super fast, super easy. I mean, so we're at an hour and a half, and now it's just a matter of detailing. Go use the Anno tool. I'm just building more and more function into that thing, so should be really easy to start annotating and building out keynotes from that. If you didn't know, the Anno tool is built into your default note tool for this view, so easy to just come in here and start clicking and placing. You only need to click it once and place it. So now I can just connect this to there, connect that to there, just press OK, and now we can just copy paste this. So we can copy paste this, have it connect to this staircase, copy paste, have it connect to, oh, that's funny. Give me that. There we go. Connect it to a wall. Connect it to a window. Crawl space. Another one. Throw this in here. Let's say that we've got that garage door up above. This will now do correct blockout size. That was a really difficult fix, but I finally got it. So same thing, note tool, and just draw this in, point it to that until it highlights the door there. If you're doing like scoping a particular area of work, you can just throw this in here. And then if we go back and look at layout, you see that this is all building out. Oops, this one didn't quite connect to something different there. There's that correct block out for our garage door, area works, etc. And you can, of course, renumber these things as you need to. I added a couple of other really cool features for those of you trying to figure out how to better automate labeling of things. Let's get into the framing roof plan real quick. Let's actually just build the floor on this. Oops, let's go up a level. Oh, it's not giving us a framing on multiple. Go. And I don't need to see the display of that in this case, but we go to the floor below, that's going to show us that this is built out that framing. Now, something you can do is you can set it up so that if we get into the build menu framing, or actually rather, let's get into defaults framing. And in terms of automatic framing, we can actually get in here first floor, and let's just say, for instance, floor structure for floor 2, ceiling above floor. What do we get to do here? I think there's a trick laying in here somewhere. Openings, fireplaces, trusses, roofs. When we spec roof, yeah, define rafters. Okay, so the framing member defaults management. For instance, if we come into joists and we come into object information, we come into label replacement, you can spec the way you want to label things now automatically, especially with the annotation tool, or if you want to drive it from the label replacement system. And I'll show you what I mean. I'm going to use my search macro tool here. Let's get into a regular working plan view so we don't have to mess with our layers. Here's our search macro tool. The search macro tool now searches all of the available macros from the macro replacement system. So if we come in here and put in macro ram, I think, no, let me double check this. Let me just put macro. Oh, I'm gonna have to double check my method on here. There should be a way that it shows all the available. This is in my documentation, so I might have to go look it up myself, but it should be able to show us everything that's in project designations. But if you just look at the top of any one of these schedules, you'll see the macro that it's using. Floor framing, okay, for instance. So if I took floor framing and put this into the default framing, let's see, where is it? Framing members. Yeah, default framing members for joists and edit this and put in the Anno tool floor framing, you should see this. Let's go look at our framing floor plan down a level. And if I were to use the Anno tool here, and I point this to a joist, that's picking up just floor joist. Oh, I need to rebuild this. That's why. Let's try it real quick. I have not tested this, but theoretically, this should work. Okay, it did. I just didn't put that in a percentage call. This might be something I build for you. And that way, the only time it's ever going to be used is you're never going to show this as a label. It's only going to work with the Anno tool. So I think in a future version, I'll just have this already built for you so that you can do this when you point it to a floor framing member or any member for that matter. So in the framing sets, under framing members, this is what's great about building a system that's scalable. This will work. So for framing members, choice, I should just be able to say percentage sign, bam. And then anytime you point the Anno tool to something like this, after we've rebuilt the framing again, there you go. Boy, does that make it nice for just labeling based on the system where we're already speccing everything, you know? So you can just draw it out like this if you wanted to. And if you really wanted to just make it kind of look pretty, you could do that as well. Look at that. And now this is being driven by that system on project designations. So super simple for me to come in here and change that floor framing spec. 2x6 at 24 on center, switch back to that framing floor plan view, and it's updated. Super cool. Yeah, that's fun. This needs a match line. The building's too big. And then I see a little error that I gotta fix, so make sure to do that. This guy right here must be the wrong number. There you go. Yeah, I did give a way to call out nails on the fly. This is your index of nails. You can add to it, and then anytime you want, you're just going to come in percentage sign global nails for instance, and then there you go. It's going to pick up whatever you have in nails for, which is this one. So, and if you wanted to change your index, you could. Really nice to be able to call out those, you know, individual things out there and be driving it from a central system. Cool. Guys got any questions in the chat? I'm impressed. This is the first time I've tried this hour and a half, and I'm impressed how much is done already. Oh, I meant to say ANSI B has already got these same views sent, but it's more specific towards kitchens. So as we flip through this, yeah, we got spec on a G2, then we got existing, proposed. We've got that same fixture spec set up here. Floor plan keynotes is sent to this view. Here's, you know, elevation 1, elevation 2, interior elevations, and then electrical. I just expect people to come back to me and tell me what they want changed on the ANSI B sheet, but it's nice that these are being sent to two different setups at the same time. And it would be really nice if this is getting us to a print view, you know, from both at the same time, so that you can print a little copy to send out to field guys. Maybe that would be interesting. So might do a whole nother ANSI B build out for that. Oleg, this is my X17. X17 has 5 billion more hours in development than the X16 versions. I'll show out a couple more features that are in the CAD details. Oh, I'm missing some of the biggest features, which is in the new toolbars. We'll just show you that real quick too. So new tools that come with Pro Plan. Got a major big one, I think, which is that got some new wall types in here. Board and batten with script board. In fact, I'm just going to do brand new plan. We're just not going to save this. I was done so fast, I don't even care if we save that. Let's not save it. Why not? So I'm going to build out a walkout basement very quickly. I like to build my walkout on floor 1. I'm going to use this tool, Pony Wall Siding 6 furred. Okay, this is going to be our left and right sides. Now my walkout's going to be on the back side here, so I'm just going to use my typical wall there. Connect this. And then I will do, here's my retention, right? I need to open up the retaining wall and set it up correctly. So in wall types, I'm going to switch this to 8-inch concrete stem wall, and it's going to be furred for an interior living space. So here we go. I got a retaining wall with a furring wall. I've got a pony wall, stem wall with a furred wall, and then my siding wall, my default, is on top of that. Okay? So that's what I've built so far. Let's just build the second floor. We'll derive it from the first floor, that's fine. We're gonna have to do a couple things. I'm gonna, obviously we don't need this pony wall set up in here anymore, so I'm gonna draw my typical wall here instead, draw that out on this side as well. I wanna make sure that it's aligned with the floor below, and in case that it's not, that's gonna be in the edit toolbar. It's gonna break its link in the corner here. That's fine, you're just gonna have to fix it. So that might happen when you align it. That's okay. And then drive this forward. Now I'm going to stop at my retaining wall, and I'm going to do a continuation wall beyond. And we're just going to assume that up here, this is at grade retaining wall hillside. And so what I've got now is I want to say that these 3 walls have footings. So we're going to get in here, open them up, and say that they in the foundation, that this is going to be a foundation wall with some kind of footing. Okay, so let me press OK for that. That's going to change its the layer that it's on. You might want to change it back. Totally up to you how you want to display these things. So I'm just going to say that this is on walls exterior existing, and that'll change that display back. Now this guy right here, you're probably going to have an interior wall, and that interior wall will probably be aligned with the foundation wall below, right? So we're transferring load there, and you might need to align that as well. All right, so now I'm going to show you what this is looking like in terms of, well, one, this is my main level. Okay, so we're showing footings, but maybe we don't want to be in our print set, which we wouldn't be anyways. So, and if I switch to my floor plan view, I might just have it so that in Aldo, we're making sure that there's no footings displayed. Which that should be by default. I might change that. So this is our main level floor plan. Our lower level floor plan is clearly showing some kind of retaining wall, etc. And then below that are our automatic footings. If we switch to a foundation plan view. Now, if I switch to show an overall, this is what this looks like. And because this is a pony wall assembly, I just get to come in here, add a break, add a break, add a break, and do my step wall, just like this. And follow the slope, whatever you got going on here. And then you can just drive this last one all the way down. Right? And that's going to build automatically to our walkout for daylight. So you can see on the interior side, there's our drywall built up exactly. Maybe we'll build a deck off this back end. There's your step wall. There's your retention wall. There's your footings for your upper level. Doesn't get any faster than that. You could try whatever method you got. I doubt it's faster than that. So now when we switch in the project browser, we open up our NCD RHD layout. then all you got to do is, there's a sidebar here. You open this up, and we're going to look at this. Is there a walkout basement on level 1? Okay, so it's going to automatically name this based on what this input is. So for walkout basement on floor 1, put true. So is it a walkout? In this case, we're going to put true. This is going to change the way everything is labeled in layout. All right. What do you want your basement level to be called? You could call it whatever you want here. It's going to automatically append that to our labels. You can change this to whatever you want here as well. You know, pool level. And then these are views that have these information included. It's going to automatically remove any kind of notation about what floor it's on. So once I press OK, that will update all of my views. If I switch here, and we're going to see here, proposed walkout floor plan. So I renamed this level to walkout. That's that level. All I'm going to do is copy paste or duplicate this page. I just duplicated it, just switch to A3, and I'm going to change this. I'm going to open this in the linked view. I'm going to scroll down once to second floor. There we go. There's our second floor walkout, right? Obviously, we got to align stuff on the page before we do this kind of stuff. You know, you might want to just move the entire building. That would be a lot easier actually to get this to line up correctly. So you can always use the edit area tool, edit area all floors, and get to this main floor here and move this up so that it's more appropriately on the sheet the way you need it to be. So that could be helpful. But there we go. Now it's really on the sheet and it's aligned across pages. But this will still build out its foundation level appropriately. So we get to that sheet. There we go. Foundation, main level. And then might have to do some display changes to, oh, well, we would basically duplicate this page again. And then same thing, change that level reference. But yeah, I might have to build this out a little bit. And then our framing roof plan, you're going to have to set this up to, actually, it just looks like it's not building the roof. Or not, I don't know. Roof's there. Double check that. VP drafting, just downloaded Remodel's X17 today. Nice. Yeah, helpful once you figure it out. That's good. Yeah, make sure you go take a look at the manual. There's a lot of good info in there. I try to cover some of the big ones that people might not know about. Let me see if I can just, you can always navigate to it from the Pro plan, but alternatively, just go to my site and drop down menu, our product manual. Like I said, when I finish building this, it'll be a downloadable PDF, and I'm going to think about figuring out how to integrate this in my website so it's more easy to navigate. These will tell you what a lot of the tools are. Still building this out as well. This kind of shows you how to use Asset Manager, how to manage your new versus existing workflow. And this tells you information about the CSV files. You don't have to use CSV files. You could use tools, designer, client information instead. Here's how to get to those project designations and change, to set it up for your particular building style. And this is how to conform the lot size, area analysis set up there, and how to build out impervious areas. This is how to use all the tools to use the automatic lot analysis. This is another one of those tools and setups that I think once you set it, you forget it, and it just works from then on. Sometimes some people have to set it up differently for every project, but this is explaining that new label replacement. Something else about label replacement, we can do duplicate schedules now. So long as you're using my template, you could do something like, let's just, for instance, or in a floor plan, okay. I'm going to throw in a window here, etc. If we pull our elevation camera here, let's just fill the window. I can in fact put in a window schedule if I wanted to, and it only include targeted windows if you wanted to. Now, typically this would make a duplicate schedule number. That is not the case. I have special scripting in here that blocks out any schedule number that doesn't have in the label some prefix. So by default, this is labeled dupe, okay? Because of that, this will not produce a schedule number, meaning that if you wanted to show the label on this, in this view, it's only going to show the original schedule number it's reporting to, meaning you can put as many schedules in as you want. If you're trying to build a calculator out with schedule, you can now, and that will not affect the schedule number here. At the same time, let's just give these rooms some room names. I can get to names, there we go. Now you don't have to use the default room label. You could use the rich text one that's here and just click in place. Or I give you one that has a prefix and it's a schedule number in case you're trying to match some kind of architectural standard. And so all you do is click on this room, open room from schedule, and you can find a legend for room areas. And this is how you reorder those numbers if you need to. And it will also show you finished floor surface area if you want to send this to view. Totally up to you. So some people have this as an architectural standard. So you might want to do this. This still works with label replacement. So for instance, if I'm just going to do, let's just say that we had a soffit in our kitchen. This will not be automatically picked up by Chief's ceiling height, right? So if we had a soffit that was 1 foot down, then we need to sit here and say, hey, we've got a 7 foot or whatever, let's just call it 68-inch ceiling height, right? And so it's going to pick that up. There you go. So that's why I built this, is because I had an entry that had a soffit, so it's reporting the wrong ceiling height. So that's a way to overwrite that and get this to report correctly still. Yeah, what else we got? Got a couple new tools that are pretty fun. Oh, this is what I meant to show you. Show you this one. This wall tool is a special wall tool that builds out board and batten automatically with a skirt board. So check this out. Bam, 3D board and batten automatically. It's going to be a big one for some people, I know it. And then on top of that, let's just say, for instance, that we've got gable end wall here. And the default wall material region builds what I say looks like a skirt board. Okay, so if you just use the wall material region, there you go. You're going to get a skirt board out of it. Now I also give you other wall material regions, one of which is the batten. So you just come in here and just draw a big old wall material region over the top here of the gable. There we go. We got our skirt board, we got our belly band, and then we've got our battens up above. Fast, easy, easy, easy. Some bonus ones that I added in here that are kind of fun, which is that you can come in here and this is just a polyline based object. So you can shape this any way you want. You want to make some breaks in this and kind of cut and take away parts. This is just a way to, produce lattice on the wall. And then on top of that, I give you, you might need to move this in XY offset to get it to look perfect. But there you go. You get an ivy crawling up the wall. And I would just take this all the way down to grade, and it should take that vine work all the way down to grade with it. So kind of a cool way you can decorate the exterior of your house and do it really, really quickly. So you might need to play around with this and do multiple instances of it, but that's a pretty handy thing if you're getting into that kind of detail. Especially if you send this to AI. AI is going to figure it out and improve this quite a bit. So that part's kind of cool. And then I also give you 3D brick and a 3D stone wall. So here's our stone wall. And here is our brick. This on the front end here. And one more thing I have in the library, but I don't know if I put it out in a package yet, is we do have a tapered brick as well, which is kind of a tricky little thing. I'll show you the taper brick on this side over here. So there's our brick, and I mean, this just ends up looking really good in a rendering. Got a couple of renderings out with this, and it really has some depth at the corners. See, it's not just a razor sharp corner. No, it's got some movement on it. Same with the brick. The brick, if you come and look through the side here, you can actually see the reliefs in the joints. And these really do stand off the page really well. Especially, you know, you switched in some kind of a nighttime scene and you stick a little sconce on the wall. You know, that really does stand out quite a bit. Same kind of thing. See if I can find that. Where'd that stone wall go? Right here? There you go. And then there's the tapered one. And, you know, obviously you'd have a little foundation setting on here. I think I need to fix a couple things on this before it's perfect. Maybe that it included a pony wall or something like that. Yeah, I think I have a little bit more work to do on this one. So there's a couple of specialty items here. There is also a porch extension tool. I'll show you that real quick. That is this guy right here. So a couple different deck railing tools. This is the porch extension. The porch extension, you actually need to come in here and label this a porch for it to be working appropriately. But here we go, labeled it a porch. It should dimension in a number of different ways. You can pick dimension to a post and beam. You could pick dimension to the extension. That all works. And so this creates slab with an extension that is in fact paintable, especially if you are auto building this on a ground level. So let's just actually show this off real quick. We'll shut down everything. Yeah, Oleg, to respond to you, a lot of cool features in this. So I would definitely switch. I don't think I want to go back. I don't want to draw any more in X16. So yeah, I would say move it up. Okay, so I'm going to do that same setup here, which is we'll draw a little extension off this. Oops. Oh, I didn't even go over the pool tools. Man, is that a plus? Wait till we show you that. Let's draw a pool too. We'll show you this as well. Pool tools are right here. So pool, reinforced wall, and a hot tub. So the elevated hot tub. So you just draw these out just like any other normal walls. For the hot tub, maybe we'll do hot tub inside of this. This needs to be defined as a separate room is all. And because we're elevating it, let's go ahead and override those walls. Let's expand them a little bit too, so we can see this. You need to specify that this is a pool. And then on top of that, we need to change the height of it. So, and the height is as follows. And I don't know if I've got this in the manual yet. So the floor is going to be whatever you want, negative 72 inches, and the ceiling height's negative 18. This is going to put us pretty much right at grade. And then for the hot tub, you'll do the exact same floor. Okay, so specify this as hot tub. It's going to pick that up, hot tub. And then specify your negative 72. It should be the same as your pool. And then for ceiling height, put 0. There is one more aspect of this if you want to create a ramp. There is a tool for this in the library, but I'm just going to extend a little section wall, make a little curve here so that you see how the ramp works, which is, I think I just get to say pool ramp. Maybe not. Try pool then. Find it there. Oh, what is it called? What did I call it? That's half the problem. Let's just find this in folder. So pool accessories, pool cap, and pool utilities. There we go. Slope tool. Call that a slope, not a ramp. This will auto build because this is a room. This is essentially a staircase that's creating a ramp. And all you need to do is set up what the height of this thing is. And it will auto build to any kind of radiuses within the pool. And it will look like a ramp. So its top height in this case, let's just lock the bottom height. And this is -72. And the top height is going to be, and we're going to lock bottom, yeah, -18. Try that. And I think that will do the trick. So take a look what this did. Here we go. And it looks like I didn't quite specify my floor height. Oh, that's why. 72. There we go. Looks like a pool. Looks like an elevated hot tub. All the cove basing's done. All the interior coves working. There's your ramp. Very cool. This is the porch extension set up here. Looks like height of my porch is a little off, but that's one of those additional tools. They give you a post to beam tool in here, give you a post to beam with railing tool in here. A couple things in there. Let's see. Is the PBR rendering in X17 better than X16 or the same? So part of the trick of doing these battens is that we got some additional features that definitely make it possible. So that's X17 only. And then on top of that, we got anisotropy, which is going to make it so that all of our appliances, so the default materials for fixtures and appliances in the Pro plan have anisotropy. So if I come in here, and not only that, but it gave us extra tools like me being able to recess these can lights and give you more of like a IES profile. So all those things add up to a better looking rendering. So it's more that we have features that make it so that we can make better renderings. So if I come in here and add some appliances, you're going to see very quickly that these appliances do in fact look better because they've got anisotropy textures in them. So that would be one thing. Let that render out for a second there. So there we go. And we can kind of adjust that. And then of course, if I increase the sample rate to something much higher, we're going to get even more detail out of this. Break out for a minute. Yeah, probably could have brightened that before I let that go. Oops. Yeah, I think that looks pretty good. I mean, look at the reflection on this of the handle. You know, looking pretty good. Sure if I've updated my wine cabinet. Well, let's see what this looks like. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Let's see, just a couple more tools I have in here. I did add just open and close door because as I'm rendering, that's a big one to me. Sometimes I want them open, sometimes I want them closed. And because we now have open close window, it looks like it's not linked. Let's see, open door should have worked on window as well. Window door, there we go. Yeah, this should work on both types now. Oh no, that was just a pre-saved thing. Let me see here. Be able to build a style palette that's just open window, open door. So style palette, open. There we go. So yeah, I should just be able to click this, have that open real fast. Click this door, have that open real fast. Yeah, nice. So closed. Oh. There we go. That worked. Nice. Simple tool. Another tool I've got here is change this to an 8.0 door, or change this to an 8-foot head height window. That one saves me a ton of time for that particular style. And then this will also change colors of doors and windows. And you can use this in a plan or a marquee mode, which makes things go real fast. Now, I also think my window and door labels now will pick up an arched door, an arched window, as well as 2x2 light grid. And then on top of that, I think my labels even pick up, if you set it, that it picks up egress in its label. Let's see if this is all working. It's been a while since I've tested this. Yeah, this is picking up round top, round top. It's not showing egress, though, as an option. So I'll revisit that. But yeah, if it's showing that it's an arched door, arched window. If you have your project designations set up that you want to see that, that's what it will do. Seems like it's not showing egress, so I'll make sure to fix that. All right, we got a limited audience today, so I think that's about all I need to show in one sitting. Covered a lot. You guys got any closing questions? All right, guys, I'm gonna get out of here. Thank you very much for tuning in. It was fun having a little bit of an audience, and I'll see you soon.